Chapter 9 Frontier. It's 7:30 a.m. The co-pres room, as Dorothy called it, was empty and closed. Winston and his minions were waiting impatiently in the hallway by the door.
Space, the final frontier,
Ben began his Star Trek opening monologue.
These are the voyages.
Will you be quiet? Winston almost yelled out through his whisper.
This is more than a voyage for our small enterprise. Our navigation for this area is not a safe space. It's a dead end for us.
You need to relax, boss, Ahmed explained optimistically as he fidgeted with his gaming device. You never know. Maybe these preps are gonna be nice to us this time around. One can only remain hopeful, fellow brethren.
Hope,
grinned Ben.
A word overused nowadays, don't you think? Hope is the only concept that can be grasped at dark times like these, Winston preached. A true noble warrior withstands corruption and discarding of morals in these darkest hours. You should know that of all people, young Padawan. For hope is the light that brightens our day. A beacon of light that keeps us alive in order to continue to make a difference in the school, if not this entire world. Is that why you still like Dorothy and use hope as an excuse? Ben argued. To keep persisting at something you can't and never will ever have, even if a million light years pass by?
Make that eons, quipped Ahmed.
Alas, it is the bitter truth. Winston looked at the ground defeated. But hope has given me so much more. Even if it is a delusion or a dream, at least I could live in my dreams and fantasies that could form to be my only reality. A reality that only I could control. I may not be in a relationship with Dorothy, and I'm aware that she is out of my league, but at least I can daydream about it and live it as I please. Kind of like how we live out our fantasies whenever we cosplay or immerse ourselves in our video games. It's the thought that really counts. Ahmed looked at him and scowled.
This was the same friend that was scolding him about video games being a time-consuming, petulant activity, and lo and behold, he is using it to justify whatever he wants to make himself look deep and esoteric. There was a calm silence after Winston's pseudo-philosophical spew on his distinction between fantasy and reality. Hi, the ditzy voice of Dorothy Kenneth made Ben and Ahmed jump in the air at the same time. Winston, however, immediately froze in his place. Face being completely red, the captain of the fleet then looked at the floor and went completely mute. Well, added the velvety voice of none other than Damien Kenneth. Looky what we have here. If it isn't Dork Vader and the rest of his dork troopers. So how is the long voyage into space, Stargeek commanders? Now bear with me for being an uncultured swine, but are you Trekkies or Star Wars fans? Triggered by that common confusion amongst casuals, Winston recollected his courage to speak again, yet Damien cut him off. No worries, the slick prep said in his usual smug tone. Same difference. Geekdom encompasses all geeky things. So Dorkymons, shall we begin? What do you want from us? Winston retorted as he raised his head slightly to face his opposition. Well, Four Eyes, Damien said in a nasty tone, what I really want is your help, actually. Believe it or not, we believe in your Believe it or not, we believe in your intellect. Please, after you. The condescending co-president signaled invitingly towards the suite after walking inside. The rest followed. I always keep a master key with me, just in case you were wondering, Damien bragged as he locked the door after they settled in. This key gives me access to every room, since the school staff and the board look at me as a trustworthy student. Especially the gym areas. There is a highly technologically sophisticated system built for that particular area, where you just stick it in the place of insertion to have the whole gym lock up automatically. I believe you would gush all over it, since you are all about technology and would probably figure out the innings of such an invention. Damien flashed his teeth at his own vast knowledge of the school infrastructure as if he was the one who built it. Everybody sat on the main couch that was in the center of the room and got comfortable, with the exception of Dorothy, whom sat on a single stool that was next to Ben. Damien paced around dubiously. The odious senior student started to measure the feeble troop of intellectuals with his dark, sinister eyes. He then stood in front of the trio and knelt to meet them at eye level. He then gestured them to lean towards him. I hope you all understand that everything you see before you are nothing but hard work and dedication. Damien assured the three that were now in his personal space to hear what he has to say. The spoils of earning your keep, so to speak. One day you will reach this level of power. I just want you to hear me very closely on what I'm about to tell you, as it will affect your future. The model student always liked to show off his teeth that were always white and shining, contrasted orange tanned skin. It also complemented his bright white premium clothes, which also contradicted his crisp, bright tanned complexion. Dorothy beamed proudly at him as she had both hands on her cheeks. She was avidly leaning forward against the table that was set in front of the couch, her legs crossed and hanging of the stool she was sitting on, that was now edged in front of the main couch. Her legs crossed and hung off the Her legs crossed and hung off the stool she was sitting. Her legs crossed and hung off the stool she was sitting on. Her legs crossed and hung off the stool she was sitting on, that was now edged in front of the main couch. Isn't my cuz wonderful? Dorothy asked in an awe-inspired tone to whomever was listening. He is the American dream personified, y'all. Knees weak and on the verge of fainting, Ben was rested on the end of the couch, sitting near her table. He glanced sideways at her small, petite frame that will have any high school boy salivate heavily. Dorothy ignored his ogling stares.
The dream, Ben said nervously. I feel like I'm dreaming.
Hey! Damien snapped at Ben and pointed at himself. Up here, virgin!
Sorry,
Ben said as he turned bright red and adjusted his spectacles. Winston avoided to make any eye contact. Winston avoided to make any eye contact with his longtime crush and didn't even dare make an attempt to say one word. He was feeling his gut wrenching 1,000 times more than ever, as he was sustaining his professionalism with having his attention zeroed in on Damien's presence alone.
Talk,
Winston simply said as his eyes were locked in on Damien's. Well, first, make yourselves at home, wieners. Damien insulted the troop playfully.
Listen, if you're gonna insult us throughout this meeting, we're gonna leave,
Winston threatened as he stood up quickly. As he turned around and was almost making his way to the door, Damien quickly stood up. I meant to say winners, the smug prep shouted. You are the winners to me for now. But what I was about to say before you got all offended by my friendly jab was that if you step out that door, you're gonna deal with a big problem. A blue-eyed, blonde-haired, 5'9", 170 pounds worth of a problem. Winston froze in his place. What do you mean? Winston replied in a quiet voice. What do you mean? Winston replied in a quiet voice. Well, let's just say a certain meathead is gunning for your scrawny frames. Damien then paced slowly towards Winston. He is willing to use your pencil next to write his checks. He is willing to use your pencil next to write his checks while erasing you out of existence. He then stood in front of him, as if daring him to take that next step. Take it from me, dorks, Damien added as he was now circling the trio as they were seated comfortably on the couch. Take it from me, dorks, Damien added while now circling the trio as they were seated comfortably on the couch. I might not like your kind, but at least but at least I say it to your faces. However, if you think I'm a problem and a bully, just wait until a schemer like this musclehead pounces on you. You got a guy like Bradley Terrence walking around setting up his next master plan as we speak. Not only does he have the physical attributes and heavy hitting repertoire to back it up, but he possesses a little something we like to call the element of surprise, meaning he might strike anywhere and any time. Now that is the true definition of human fear, the fear of the unknown, hence the fear of surprises. Now, you little boys cannot be serious scrutinizing and vilifying me whenever I throw a few tepid insults at you, knowing very well it is all for the sake of humor, while Bradley, Terrence, or shall I say the Big Brad, has something up his sleeve to brutally assault you due to your physical inferiority to him. Think about it. To him, you are just a nerd, a dweeb, a geek, a dork, a loser, a lowlife, a nobody, an easy target, a piece of flesh dangling around to satiate his salivating hunger to bully non-athletes such as yourselves. Such as yourselves. Such as yourselves. He is just jealous you could surpass him academically. Therefore, he must rely on his alpha male strength and intimidation factor to attack you and your friends. As intimidating as he is, though, he could still execute a plan with that generally perceived 2 cents of a noggin of his. He also has leverage with the higher ups in the school. Currently, you do not have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how to call someone. So all he has to do is dial up. He is one phone call away to get you guys suspended, or even worse, expelled. In addition, if you even think of trying anything funny against him, such as self-defense or whatever that could be pulled off at your end, let alone snitching, this brute could physically hurt you in more ways than one, more so embarrass you in the public eye. Damien winked as he paced around Winston. It was like he was a vulture. Picking at a corpse that lay underneath him. He was trying to swirl in his brain, as if he was trying to hypnotize him with his presence. Winston seemed like the only one standing up from his crew, absorbing this tactic to see where it would lead him. Trust me, Damien added as he headed towards his resting chair. All I ask is somewhat of an alliance with your future entrepreneurs. We all know that the meek shall inherit the earth eventually. In your case, the geeks will... Well, you get the gist of it. What is that noise? I think they're just doing renovations, dames. Don't worry about it, Dorothy said in a calm tone. Dorothy said in an exuberant tone. Damn it! I just can't get my speeches through, Damien said, exasperated. With all this noise and this commotion going on in the school, they're always building something. This infrastructure is always evolving. I guess it's a good thing, but whatever. But I just hate being interrupted when I'm trying to do a very intricate and descriptive speech to clarify my intentions to all of you. Pardon me. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Right, Winston muttered in uncertainty. By the way, we are enjoying the setup. Are we enjoying the setup? Damien quipped in his most hospitable voice as he sat down. As you can see, this is no ordinary school president room. A certain wealthy property owner of the building and several staff members fund it. It pampers and spoils the people that represent its image, even if it does provide many sources of entertainment on the expense of the school budget. You have embraced your own clique status, or how you would put it, enterprise, and made sure you live it every single day. Not because you must, but because without a shadow of a doubt and no questions asked, you voluntarily wanted to be perceived with such a label as a badge of honor. an honorable camaraderie of some sort, an everlasting blood bond, a brand identifying you among the other cliques in Eagle High, a league of your own, academics and intellect wise. Well, color me intrigued, Winston blurted out in a bold manner. But what do you label yourself? An astute inquiry, my friend, the egocentric young man complimented the well-articulated future scientist. An astute inquiry, my friend, the egocentric young man complimented the well-articulated future scientist. The thing that is known about Damien Kenneth is that Damien Kenneth is the type of person that everybody likes. Well, let's say almost everybody, and still be a jerk to anybody whenever and wherever he wants. He wants, with nobody daring to even think of opposing him. The most intriguing thing about a person like Damien Kenneth is that Damien Kenneth could have the whole world love him and still be able to single out one clique he perceives as not up to his par, his level, his standard of admiration. He likes to refute the infatuation and respect of a group if he feels like they do not match up to his expectations, whether it be financial status, social status, emotional well-being, etc. Damien Kenneth knows what he likes, and he knows well what type of people are acceptable to like him. Moreover, Damien Kenneth actually admires you as a group. My team is a representation of Damien Kenneth. My team who are at the top of the high school hierarchy are doing you guys a solid favor by having you be associated with us. Therefore, you guys are worthy enough to be sought out due to your exceptional talents. So consider yourselves lucky at this point. Lucky enough to be in the presence of Damien Kenneth, to aspire to be like him and his lovely team, and maybe, just maybe, you might be able to achieve the same amount of clout. Winston looked on as Damien sat on his personal throne, facing the three of them. You see, Wyndham, Damien nonchalantly mistook Winston's name. Great minds think alike. Winston wanted to correct him, but let it slide for a bit. He was fascinated with this Damien character, more so a caricature. What comic did this dastardly supervillain pop up from? His long-drawn rants and raves are sounding a tad cartoonish. Winston is not sure if he was being entertained or being punked. He was expecting Ashton Kutcher to jump out at any given moment. I have the charisma and people skills. Damien smirked as he continued to ramble on his evil plan. You have the intellect and structure. If we work together, nobody can manipulate us, not even the school. I'm just a spoke in their wheel, a puppet to their play, a pawn to their game. Bradley, well, he's so much more to them. He is their guy, their last resort to salvage their reputation they sustained over decades. They do not care about the little man like you. They only use you as a resource. Sure, they also technically use me for my wealth and prosperity to sustain their squeaky clean image. However, they need a person like Bradley Terrence to uphold their brand. We are disposable goods, my friends. The higher ups, the school board, believe me, they do not care about our well-being. They do not care about our well-being. They only care about the most physically capable. Only the strong survives in this dog-eat-dog world of theirs. He is at the top of their food chain, their lion king. You see, Bradley is the ultimate alpha male, the ultimate American dream, so to speak. So, with all that being said, I'm just warning you, before things get worse, Willard, I will also offer you my blessings to take Dorothy on a date, since I have heard that you tend to have an infatuation with her. Winston was feeling all kinds of emotions: rage, uncertainty, yearning, anxiety, but mostly doubt. Mind shrouded and trying to recollect himself, Winston still didn't care if Damien got his name wrong. He closed his eyes, blushing ever so fervently, knowing that everything Damien is pouring at him is nothing but garbled nonsense and mumbo-jumbo drivel. He can see right through it, as clear as day, but one thing is holding him back from smashing Damien's pearly white teeth that he is lying through. Her. He opened his eyes and looked at Dorothy, who simply smiled at him and nodded.